Death Star.
Hello. I wanted to talk about this news, just pretty much because we have it. I am a little under the weather right now, so apologies for that. I'm like 90% back to health, but uh, we just got pictures of the new UCS Death Star. Which, as you can see from the dimensions, I've seen people call it the Death Wheel or the Death Slice. But yeah, this is really disappointing, honestly. Um, I don't talk too much about rumors or even really new sets in general on this channel, uh, but this is one that I've been really looking forward to the $1,000 Death Star because I figured if they did it right, which I didn't think they could fumble this, right? Like I thought for sure if they're trying to break that $1,000 threshold that they want to be able to sell Lego sets for $1,000 or possibly more, that they're going to have to come out swinging. And this is a just about a complete miss. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, this is a good set. Um, like it looks really nice, it does. But do I think that it looks better than the old one? Um, I guess it looks better than the old one. Do I think it is better than the old one? No. Uh, and mostly because the old one gave you a whole lot more than the new one does. Now, the new one does have more figures than the old one. However, even that's not really all that great. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have a picture at the top of the box. For some reason, that's like the one image that they didn't like isn't going around of this warehouse, like pictures that are going around. Um, but you can see down there, uh, you've got Galen Urso and Director Krennic, um, and then you've got the an Imperial crew member. You can see three stormtroopers right there. A Imperial shuttle pilot for the mini Imperial shuttle, which I really question. Like, because I don't know, I'm not opposed to this scale of set, really. Um, I'm really not. I I like the Y wing that came with the Yavin 4. I think they would be fun little sets that Lego could put out as really cheap play sets. Um, Almost like microfighters, but maybe for the $20 to $30 range. Uh, I think they could be really fun sets for Lego to put out. However, for some reason, they keep just taking up space in these, rather expensive sets that it's like, oh, I think I'd prefer you just didn't include that and drop the price a little bit. Because I'm kind of surprised that we got it instead of a Vader's TIE Fighter. Um, but I would like, uh, I guess, because obviously I'm not going to be able to give full insight, because obviously I don't have the set in hand. Um, I haven't seen any in-hand reviews on this, but I will say that pit is kind of interesting to me, just looking at it, because it looks like it might have some depth to it, but I don't know, because I know on the older one, they actually had a platform that you could raise and lower from that little hole. But I don't know that the new one's going to have that because it doesn't look like there's anything under it. Um, but then you've got the trash compactor, which looks like it will be able to compact. However, I doubt that door opens. You know, even though the older one had a door that opened, uh, it doesn't appear that because up here that's your prison cell block, and we'll look at the image in just a bit, but doesn't look like it's very deep. Um, when if you compare it to the old one here, I mean, you had a full cell block, and you had the panel. Now, it was on the wrong side of the hallway. I'll give them that. But you've got the panel here that you could open up and drop people down into the trash compactor, which I don't think is going to be a thing on the new one. Because you've got this weird hallway in the middle. Now, maybe in there, that little elevator illusion, maybe you can drop a figure down through there, but I don't know if they didn't include that feature, if they took that feature away. That's just a real shame. This elevator is something that, like, in a certain sense, it's nice. I'm curious to see how the doors work, because it looks like they're just sliding off to the side. But it looks like you can kind of see right up top. Looks like they might have like a worm gear function, so the elevator probably will function all throughout it. But I guess we'll see. But like, you've got the security desk, which you had on the older one. I guess you didn't have this extra hallway on the older one, which I wish that Han Solo had the white stormtrooper belt. This is about the only time that they could make Han Solo different, is for this $1,000 Death Star. But no, and he doesn't have dual molded legs or side leg printing, something that they did way back in 2018 for the UCS Cloud City, which I have, that figure is a really nice Han Solo, but for some reason his legs have gone backwards, even though this is a $1,000 set. And then you've got this desk and another empty hallway here with the droid. You've got the tractor beam, power station, and the swinging bridge station, which is somewhat nice. I guess it's cool that they were able to still include that. And you've got the 3PO's station, that little room that they first break into in A New Hope. That's nice. But I don't know. That might be an improvement over the older one. For some reason, we have Darth Vader's meditation chamber, which, if this Death Star was just full of all these different rooms and stuff, and had everything that the Death Star had, plus Vader's meditation chamber, I'd be okay with that. But this has less than the older one. It has less of the rooms of the Death Star. So, why do we have Vader's meditation chamber? You've got your delegation room. That's nice. You've got Palpatine's throne room, which, in a certain sense, is nice, because it looks like they pretty much just recreated the diorama. However, one thing that I do want to point out is going to be like a weird thing for this $1,000 display piece is that you can clearly see the window is clear. So there's nothing behind that window. But then if you come down here, they filled in the back of the shield gate. And so it's supposed to look like stars out there. So I don't know. That to me seems really weird. Like, why didn't they fill that in with stars? We've already got a clear version that like you could get from the diorama. And personally on mine, I built a background with stars and stuff in it. But also, it doesn't appear that there's a reactor shaft to throw Palpatine down. Really unfortunate, considering that's something that the older one did. Like, you've got the Death Star laser, which is neat. You know, it does look pretty neat. And, like, you've got a small representation of the observation room. I do wonder if that's about it. If it's just going to be like you can stick a figure in there, or if they're going to have the feature that the older one did with you can't really see it from this angle, but right there they had a brick that you could flip out. See Alderaan or the Yavin targeting. But yeah, and then it's like, oh, look, another empty room for the elevator. And whoa, another empty room for the elevator. And another one down here. It's like, man. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll give that one a pass because it's supposed to be there. 5-ish. Like, at least 4 rooms that are just empty rooms for the elevator door. It's like, I really don't think we needed that for a $1,000 set. Like, it's nice, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's like I can't help but think about features that aren't here. We do have over here, and we'll see in the next images, this is where your Death Star gunner is in this corner, which I think would be okay if all of the sides had little rooms. Like, I think that would be a big improvement, but I mean, we can see from this side that, like, no, it doesn't. Whoops. It doesn't. That, like, the reason why that's there is because the paneling was designed around the Death Star laser. So there's a gap in the paneling. But, like, otherwise it's mostly symmetrical. So, like, you know, when you're looking at this one, because don't get me wrong, the new one has a lot of the features that this one does. However, it doesn't really look like it's going to have that observation room for the Death Star laser. It doesn't look like it's got a droid station like that one has. It doesn't have the twin turbo lasers, which, like, that's a pretty important feature for the Death Star. You know, like, I don't know, man. I'm just, because, like, yeah, it's still got the hangar, and it's got Palpatine's throne room, which are on the other sides of this big middle section. But, like, there's also, like, a cargo loading area down here. You know, and then you've got your big chasm on the other side that you can swing across. And, like, these on the bottom, they were basically empty on the older one. So, like, I'll give it that the new one, it looks like they tried to cram a lot in. I'm not a big fan of these empty elevator rooms, though. And I'm not a big fan of, why is Vader's meditation chamber here, but we can't fit the twin turbo lasers in? Like, what are we doing? But so you can see here the different rooms and scenes that you can create. And you can see here, this is one of my problems with the figures, is that, like, don't get me wrong, it's cool to get the Imperial Dignitary, I think is what he's called. Um, it would be nice to get a few of the other ones rather than just the one, because, like, there's at least two in any scene we see of them. Also, we could have given Palpatine his cane, because he does have a cane in this scene, which previous versions of the Imperial Shuttle have given Palpatine his cane, but, you know, why would we bother in $1,000 Death Star? Why would we bother with some, like, little detail like his cane when we can easily, like, there are several pieces that they could just make in black right now from, like, the Harry Potter line that would look really good as his cane. But, like, 6 stormtroopers plus you've got Han and Luke stormtrooper, so that's 8 stormtroopers out of your, what, 38, 39 figures? Like, oh man, that's it's really kind of lame, honestly. Because stormtroopers are like a dime a dozen, basically. Like, you can easily find them in cheaper sets. In, like, we had a battle pack that I believe retires at the end of the year, but, like, you know, they're not uncommon. So while sure it would be nice to get this many, and, like, I'm sure it will be for people who actually get this set, it'll be nice to get all those figures in there, but it's like, man, I really wish you would have actually put more figures that we just aren't really going to get anywhere else but at Death Star. You know, I know there's some figures that obviously you have to have, like Vader, like Obi-Wan, like Luke, you know, 3PO and R2, Chewie, like, you know, those are all very common figures, and so I get that you're going to have them in here, but, like, especially with having Stormtrooper Luke and Stormtrooper Han, I think you can reduce the number of Stormtroopers and give us some more exclusive figures. And not to mention that, like, 3PO doesn't have his dual molded leg. Kind of interesting that you can't see that in the box art, but for some reason they're using the cheaper, or not even cheaper, because they're running 2 separate production lines. If they just made the one with the dual molded leg and stopped producing the one without the dual molded leg, they would save money. But for some reason, they just love wasting money, I guess, and giving us the fucking cheaper, like, worse version of it. But, like, no dual molded legs on the Imperial crew member, no dual molded legs on any of those guys. You know, it's like, you don't have to put leg printing on any of these. Like, it's nice on the Imperial crew members, but, like, I think it would look a lot better with no leg printing and dual molded legs instead. Like, that's what I do on my mocks because it looks better. And it's not like it would cost LEGO a whole lot to actually do something like that. But here's your Death Star gun. Which it's like, yeah, I guess that's nice, but where's the twin turbo lasers? Like, you know, that just seems weird to me that that's not there. You know, then you've got your throne room there, which I find funny that they've put a black background, because it's like, nope, that's going to be clear, and most people don't have black walls, so, you know, my guess is that's going to look like white or maybe bluish on your wall. Like, It's not going to look like that unless you take like a black piece of paper and tape it to the back of your Death Star before you put it up there. It's not going to look like that. And then, yeah, you can see the dimensions again from there. There they are. And then there's the other side of the box. But, yeah, I don't know. I just, like I said, it's not a bad set, right? It looks really nice. However, for $1,000, does it look like I am getting double the value of this set? No. Absolutely not. Like, it just doesn't. I wish it did. I really do. But, like, because some of these figures are nice, right? That droid, that's a nice figure. Galen Erso, Director Krennic, nice figures. Wish Galen Erso had dual molded legs, because, like, we see that uniform in Rogue One. He's got boots on. Krennic's works because he's got black pants and black boots. You don't need dual molded legs on Krennic. But, like, Galen Erso should have dual molded legs. It's nice that he does have arm printing. And, like, I guess it's, in some ways, it's kind of nice that, like, the Imperial crew members, you can see they reused Dedra's hair hat combo there. Though I will say, I don't know, because we don't know what the Stormtrooper faces look like, but it is weird to me, because I get with the Stormtrooper wanting to make more diverse faces cheaper and, like, more available. That's fine, but it does seem really weird to me that, like, for this scene recreation, it's like, oh, you've got a medium tan head and then what looks to be a reddish brown head. And it's like, oh, pretty sure in the movie they're both, like, pale white British men. But okay, I guess, it's not the least accurate thing on this Death Star. I am curious to find out what the, like, console in the middle of Galen Erso and Director Krennic is. That to me is kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure what that is. But I guess it'll be interesting to find out. But yeah, it's really tough for me to think that, oh, it's so much of a better value than this. Because, like, don't get me wrong, there are studs all over this thing, right? Like, it is not well finished off. But, it's like, look at the figures, man. Like, especially for the time, it's like, they look good. And, like, it's just a weird case of why haven't the figures improved dramatically? Because this is the 2016, I think 2016 version that I'm looking at. And it's like, yeah, why have the figures not dramatically increased in almost 10 years? Right? Like, it's been 9 years since this one released. And yet, this is supposedly double the value? Like, I don't know. I don't get that. So yeah, I'm not planning on picking this up on day one anymore. Obviously, you can do what you want. Maybe my mind will be changed once I start seeing in-person reviews. But I guess we'll find out. So, thanks for watching and listening to my rant, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.